Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well because today we're talking about music and we're talking about a fantastic new upcoming album from the Bandulus. This is being put out on Batasonic Records out of Belgium. So thanks again. I've provided a preview code from Nico at Batasonic. So thank you so much. And this is just a really exciting album. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Bandulus, if you're a fan of Ken Booth and the Heptones, like classic Rocksteady, but newer stuff like the Insiders, so kind of that modern soul stuff going on, and even some of the classics. There's a track on here that really reminded me a lot of sort of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons sort of harmony work. If you're a fan of that, if you're a romantic, and we're coming into that time of year, if you're just a fan of really well done upbeat music, this is an album that you got to check out. So Bandulus, Tell It Like It Is the title of that album. I'll have the artwork up here somewhere. So like I said, if you're a fan of Ken Booth, the Heptones, those sort of classic early rock steady Jamaican artists that were drawing a lot of inspiration from the soul movement from the States, and then newer bands as well. This is something to check out. I first saw the Bandulus at the Victoria Ska and Reggae Festival a few years ago, and I was blown away. I became an instant fan. Had to pick up their album, their latest album at that time, and it's just super great. So I actually had a chance to talk with Jeremy about this album, just sort of how it came together. And so I've got the quote here, so I'll read that out. But thanks again, Jeremy, for sharing that kind of insight into the album with me. So I'll also say that Jeremy Pena is sort of the mastermind behind the Bandulus forming and putting them all together. So this is what Jeremy said. This record was kind of an accident. We only recorded it because of the London International Ska Fest that had been cancelled in 2022. The majority of the band had non-refundable flights and hotels, so we decided to just go to Europe and have a good time. It's a good call. Good call, Jeremy. A couple months prior to going, we played Freedom Sounds in Cologne, Germany. Hopefully I pronounced that right. While we were there, we met Nico Leonard from Batasonic Records, Victor Rice, and the Moon Invaders. Victor Rice, prominent dub musician and producer. Moon Invaders, a great band as well. And we kind of hit it off. When I found out the London show was canceled, I emailed Nico to see if we had time to record a couple of tunes. I demoed about 4 or 5 songs for him, and we ended up doing 8. We then married them with the 4 songs we had already cut here in Portland, and Tell It Like It Is was born. I'm so stoked to be able to work with Nico and Batasonic. I've been a fan of his for about 18 years. He ended up playing drums on the 8 tunes we recorded in Belgium, and now he has booked us on a tour and will be the drummer while we're in Europe. That's awesome. And I will say too, the production on this album is great. That was the first thing I noticed. Just kind of skipping track to track just to get an appetizer for what's on the album. And I was like, that sounds really good. That sounds really good. Like the bass is heavy, but not overly dominant. The drums are really crisp, but they don't seem to kind of overshadow any of the other instruments. The vocals, again, they're like forward, but they're not dominating. Like everything just seems really, really well balanced on this album. So again, not only are you getting really, really good music, it sounds really, really good as well. So let's do a quick track by track review. I'm not going to go, in depth into the band's history or anything like that, but I wrote a few notes just to give people a bit more of a general idea of what to expect on this album. I'm also going to have purchasing links down below for the record label's information, because this is just one of those albums that I think we're going to be talking about near the end of the year when we're looking at like what was the best, ska and rocksteady and reggae that came out. So we open up with Not Tonight, and that feels like a Bandulus classic if you're familiar with their kind of not shtick, that seems true, like I'm trivializing them, but kind of the classic Bandulus sound. It's a storied tale, but it seems cool about heartbreak. So it's a really, really good track. Track 2, Only Always. It's more of like a little upbeat track with a really memorable chorus that got stuck in your head. That was one that stayed with me long after a few repeated listens. Track 3, Pieces. That's really nice. It has some really good bubbly organs. This feels like the kind of the keys are leading this track, and I like that a lot. I'm a sucker for good keys, and I like that a lot. It's got really good laid back vocals. Track 4, You Gave Me a Chance. This is the one that really reminded me of those kind of classic soul singers and vocal groups. So if you're into that kind of sound, check out the track You Gave Me a Chance when this comes out. Now I just want to go see Jersey Boys on stage or something like that. Track 5, Broken Smile. We bring in the melodica. If you're a fan of melodica, we got that here. It comes back again later, but this one we got to melodica. It feels a little bit like the Slackers. If you're familiar with the Slackers, sort of, I think they describe themselves as Jamaican rock and roll based out of Brooklyn, New York. So if you need to hear other comparisons and artists to get a bit of an idea of what you're in for, so take that Slackers influence. I can definitely almost hear like Vic Ruggiero, the lead singer of that band, kind of singing on this track. I can see that being a really nice crossover. Track 6, Sunny Days. And while this album is full of love songs, my note was this one feels like a love song. And I think just the musicality of this track makes it feel like a love song, which I like. Track 7, Be Your Man, really nice. It sounds like an old school Rocksteady number. So if you like that classic Rocksteady sound, this is a good one for that. One of my favorites from the album as well. Track 8, the title track, Tell It Like It Is. It's got this like piano bar feel. In the way that artists, the Slackers do this a little bit as well. But it seems like we're going to take one of those like mid-song, instrumental breakdowns, and we're going to like wax poetic, talk to the audience a bit. I really like it when you're listening to a studio album and you can kind of tell where things might happen during a live set. So you can kind of listen and be like, oh, this will be the part where, maybe we're winding down the set and we're gonna introduce the band again and thank the audience, or maybe this is going to be one of the opening tracks, or the track 3 to 4 transition where we're going to ask, how's everyone doing tonight? Blah 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 blah. So that's a really good track. Number 9, Shadows, which is a really upbeat sounding song, which I wasn't expecting. I figured it's called Shadows. We're going to be a little bit darker, but it sounds really upbeat. And to me, it feels like one of those tracks where we're starting, because it's track 9 of 12, we're going to start wrapping the album up. So it's not boring at all, but it's kind of like, we're sort of like putting the bow on the package. And I like that a lot. Track 10, West Portland Park. If you're into melodica, we got melodica here. It's an instrumental. It feels like a really classic Scotalites song because it has a bit of that sort of Latin flavor that the Scotalites were known for doing. Not all the time, but once in a while. I really like that a lot. The piano work on this one, again, is really outstanding. Number 11, Some Kind of Love. Really good reggae track. Most of the songs on here are more along the lines of Rocksteady, a little bit of ska, but here we have a really good reggae track. Big vocal harmonies, and as a fellow romantic, I dig this track a lot. And then track 12, Honest Goodbye. It opens with some horns, and it feels like we're really driving this album home. It's really epic feeling, very theatrical and heartfelt. So there we go, a little track by track breakdown for this upcoming album, Tell It Like It Is. It's out March 8th, 2024 on Bandulus Records. Again, album art, it's probably going to be popping up throughout here. If you're into, Ken Booth, Heptones, The Insiders, that classic vocal soul, check it out because I think you might find your new favorite band. I'll check you out next time. Bye.